Okay, so this is the final video of martial arts, and I'm going to piss off everyone who's ever taken a martial art. I'm going to piss you off, so let me apologize to you now, because what I'm about to say is not something that I can really say that if I wasn't a martial artist, I probably wouldn't condone what I'm about to say anyway. But as a martial artist, the truth has to be known, because you don't want to pay a lot of money and then go out in the streets and get your ass beat. That's not how this is supposed to work. However, in many cases, that's exactly how it works. Alright, so for those who aren't watching, for those who have been watching, for those who know me, y'all know that I don't teach you some shit that's not legit. I don't teach you some shit that I know for sure is not going to work. Now, what works for me might not always work for you, but that's just the life you take. Martial arts. Here we go. The evolution of martial arts is never ending. It is always evolving, and everything you are taught, you will try to pass on to another student. In your ability to pass on what you know, you will have not remembered that you have modified that shit for what works for you. Now, I say it that way because it is effective and it is true. There are a lot of people who practice JKD. For those who don't know what that is the martial art made famous by Bruce Lee. There are a lot of people who practice BJJ. For those who don't know what that is, that's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There's a lot of people who practice Judo and Jiu-Jitsu and Capoeira, Nawada, and Kung Fu and Wushu. And then you have Northern Shaolin, you have Southern Shaolin, you have the animal styles, you have Taekwondo, which I already mentioned, you have the Filipino martial art, which I have never studied. It's like the only martial art that I've never studied because I didn't know it existed. You have Korean Kempo, you have Japanese Kempo, you have Okinawa Karate, you have Naharte, which is Kempo, Taekwondo, you have Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, you have Ninjutsu, you have, I'm missing quite a few. You have about 1,000 different martial arts. Let's do that so I don't have to try to name them all. But you have just as many teachers and practitioners. And your teachers and practitioners, they try to make this stuff simple. And in making it simple, that's fine. But you have to make sure that the technique, when you simply simplify it, works. Alright? Now, I've watched a lot of these martial art videos here on YouTube. I've watched them on Instagram. And I've watched a lot of guys go in, Shaolin monks getting beat up by MMA guys. I've watched a lot of MMA guys and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys like roll and get fucked up. And I've watched a lot of people who do Taekwondo versus MMA guys, Taekwondo versus Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, some bald monk getting beating people up and stuff. And, they're all cool videos and everything. And for your best advisement, I will give you, if you're going to go on Instagram, you follow McDojo, because he will set you straight. If you're going to be on YouTube, you damn sure need to follow Ramsey Dewey. He will set you straight. Now, I also, sadly, I will admit this, I follow some of the people that those guys have put down. Alright? Now, to do that, I do it out of fairness, because one of my heroes, which Pinkman has exposed to be a fraud, was Frank Dukes. I've never personally met Frank Dukes. I don't know if he's a fraud or not. But, it's the same thing with Steven Seagal. He was once my hero until he allegedly started beating on his wife. Same thing with Van Damme. And if you notice, there had to be some truth to it because their careers fizzled out. I still got mad respect for Van Damme and Seagal, but only for what they've done as I was growing up. But in their personal lives, I don't have to respect what they do when the cameras are off. Now, I am a cusser, so let me apologize now, because I swear a lot, and I'm sorry. I swear a whole lot. It's a reflex, and I'm working on it as best I can. I'll tell you what happened. I had just got finished learning how to stop cussing, and then I joined the Army, and all I heard was cussing. And then I started cussing again. So, it's really on my own fault, but, I'm still working on trying to adjust my tongue. When it comes down to martial arts, alright, and let's include wrestling in that, because wrestling is also a martial art. You don't have to believe me, but a lot of martial artists are wrestlers. A lot of wrestlers are martial artists. It's going hand and foot. It's just all about what you know, who you believe in, what you're told. The evolution of a martial art always begins with someone bringing something new to the table. If you do something your sensei has never seen before, or if you were taught by a different sensei, or you were taught by two different senseis, which in China is a grievous offense. I don't know if it's still a grievous offense, but back in the 80s and the 70s, senseis picked their students very carefully. Excuse me. What I meant to say was Sifus picked their students very carefully. There have been movies made about this shit, and they're like been docudramas or whatever, but they were based on factual stuff. There was a guy, I don't remember the name of the movie, I've mentioned this before in another video, so to keep it short, he wanted to learn this, and a guy would teach him. So he went to a girl, and she taught him. And it had something to do with I call it chain whip. A lot of people call it the long dart, where you throw it. It's got the majestic fan sprinkle thing on it, the tassel, so that you don't get the blood on your enemy. But it's both. I prefer to call it the chain whip because it is a chain that you whip out with a dart in it, and you snatch it back. And it became one of those fatal weapons. A lot of people don't understand this, and I need to break this down because I'm going to get a lot of martial arts pissed off at me. All right. For the Wushu chain whip, or for Kung Fu, because it's both, because Wushu, Kung Fu, they're basically the same shit. Unless you're going to go into Shaolin Kung Fu, which is a whole another level of Kung Fu. And if you got Southern and you got Northern Shaolin Kung Fu, you see where I'm going with that. And then you have the animal styles. And the animal styles, they vary. Because you have the tiger. This is the dragon, I'm sorry. You have the dragon. You have the tiger, you have the snake, you have the crane, you have the mantis, you have the monkey. I don't do monkeys, but you also have Drunken Master. You have a conglomerate of shit that you can go through to become a martial artist. You have a conglomerate. I mean, there's like an infinity amount of things that you can learn from other people. But as you learn, you evolve. And as you evolve, you find what works for your teacher doesn't always work for you. So sometimes you go to more than one teacher. And if your teacher is a rival of the other teacher, they're going to know that person's move. And they're going to be able to read that move. It's like, I didn't teach you that. How did you learn that? Oh, I went to this person. Oh, that person is my sworn enemy. Why would you go to that person? And that causes problems. All right. Again, I touched on that in another video. You can go find it here on my YouTube channel. The problem with learning martial arts is that no matter what your Sifu or your sensei teaches you, when you are taught it, it is engraved in here. But if it doesn't work, you will find a way to make it work. And in finding a way to make it work, you have evolved. And a lot of senseis don't like that shit. Master Ennis, when I first did Taekwondo with him, I had to switch to old school stuff that I had knew. And so I broke into like a snake, and then I broke into the crane. He says, "Do you really know that?" I said, "I know enough of it." He said, "Well, don't use that if you don't know it." And he clearly didn't give a shit that I said I know enough of it. But what worked was using what I knew versus what he was teaching me. And another thing that I had to learn in his school was that I had to start from the beginning, all over again. I'm kind of against that, and that will be a horse of another color that I will touch on in another video one day. I think that if I'm teaching you, I need to know where you are level-wise. I don't think that you should honestly start from the beginning, even though the martial art is new to you. And I will break that down for you in another video. But, when you are taking a martial arts are forever evolving. And what works for some people doesn't always work for others, which is why you should always keep your arsenal open to take martial arts of all kinds. Don't get grounded in one style. Learn, learn, learn. Adapt, evolve, and when you have to fight, you will know what works. Jab, jab, kick. Jab, jab, uppercut. You're going to know what works when that battle takes place. When a fist is flying at your face, you're going to know what's going to work and what's not. It's just that simple. Now, on some of the videos I follow, I love this girl, Cynthia. She's totally insane, but I love her. She's tough as shit, And, if I had to go into a street fight, I want her in my corner because I don't think this broad feels any pain anywhere. So, and now, a lot of people are making fun of Master Wong, I think. It's either Master Wong or Master Hong. I don't really know what his name is. But he's a bald guy. And he shows people how to fight with strollers and shit. Alright, so a lot of people are putting him down the same way they put down Frank Dukes, and some of them put down Cynthia. And I'm cool with that because I don't have a problem with anybody. I'm not here to delegitimize anybody. Because I have one golden rule. If I haven't fought you, I really can't say anything bad about you. Because, everybody has an opinion, and we all know what that's like. And you're going to formulate your own opinion when you meet people anyway. I'm sure everybody thinks I'm a fucking jerk. And that's cool. I'm okay with being a jerk. Because truth be told, I'm an asshole. Doesn't matter. I own it. The problem is that when you are taking a martial art, everything that you are taught was taught to someone else, which was taught to someone else, which was taught to someone else, which eventually made its way to you. When you teach it, you're going to teach it in the way that you have used it. Alright? And that is the thing that a lot of newfangled people don't know. You adapt the martial art as you teach it to someone else. You really will. You will adapt a martial art quickly. As Master Ennis said when I was in his class, he said, if you do something that works, we're going to adapt it, adopt it, and put it into our Taekwondo. And I was like, oh, okay. So, I could show them a few things. And they were like, okay, well, that might not work. I was like, well, it's worked for me before. And so, like I said, what works for you doesn't always work for everyone else. So you need to know what works for you versus what works for someone else. Sorry, old ass commercials on. When you're fighting, when you're training, you're going to learn what works and how you train. This is very important. Again, I'm going to piss a lot of martial artists off. How you train is how you're going to fight. I'm sorry. I know that if you train hard, you're going to fight hard. And that's good for some things and bad for others. If you train soft, you're going to fight soft, which again is good for some things and bad for others. Fighting is very situational. You have to keep that in mind. And I will tell you, as long as you're fighting bare knuckle, you want to throw soft punches, but you want to throw hard enough that they know they've been hit, but you don't want to throw a punch so hard that your knuckles that were right here are now over here. Because these things break really easily, which is another reason why we fight with gloves on when you're actually in a fucking fight with, like, a controlled environment. Now, when you're in the street, it is what it is. But I will tell you also for that, to be honest, if you're in a street fight, a lot of people always tell you when you start learning how to fight to hit everybody with everything you got. I'm against that on every level. This is going to piss everybody off, but if you hit somebody, boom, and you're doing this, you're hitting them too hard. Second, if you're going to have a target, you want to hit a target that's going to do damage. Here, maybe a temple blow. You want to hit soft flush. You want to hit something that is going to absorb the blow and do damage versus, I'm going to keep hitting solid muscle in the chest. Well, here's the truth on getting in a fight. Alright? This is where I'm going to piss off a lot of martial artists, so I'm going to just get this shot out of the way. The truth in getting in a fight is, you have plenty of potential targets when you're thinking about it. You have plenty of potential targets. So you're in a fight, and you're thinking, I'm going to jab, I'm going to cross, I'm going to jab, I'm going to uppercut, I'm going to uppercut, I'm going to jab, I'm going to jab. And 9 times out of 10, your central target is their face. Alright? But you can jab them in the gut, boom, swift shot in the gut, swift shot in the throat, and try to end the fight as quickly as possible. Or you're going to be a defensor. You're going to be a defender. So you're going to block, 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 you're going to block. Those are your simple blocks. These are Thai fighting blocks, by the way. Because that protects that whole wall. See, that whole wall. See, here, head, shoulders, knees, toes, midsection. If there's more than one attacker, then you got like a bit of a problem. So maybe boom, or boom. You'll figure it out when somebody's coming. Boom, boom, boom. You're gonna figure out what does what. When you are in a fight and you are a defender, you're blocking and striking, you're going to strike with minimum force, maximum effort. Yes, that did sound right out of Deadpool. But the problem is, it is the truth. You're going to use maximum effort, but you're going to use minimal force because you don't want to break your fucking hand just in case you don't knock the bastard out. You're still going to need your hands. So you want to hit them with just enough force so that they know that they're hit, but not with so much force that you break your hand. Because if you don't knock them out with a broken hand, yeah, you still have one more. But if you didn't learn from that mistake, then you're going to break both hands. And two broken hands are hard to hold a fist when your hands are broken. I've talked to people who have broken their hands, and making a fist is so much the hardest thing that they told me that they have a problem making a fist. So, you have to adjust and adapt. You have to learn how hard you can hit someone and do damage without doing damage to yourself. And that's something that they don't really teach in dojos now. So I will tell you that if I'm going to teach you something, I'm not going to tell you you're going to go and break rocks and shit with your hand. That's not what I'm going to teach you, because as far as I'm concerned, that has nothing to do with martial arts where you're sitting here, boom, boom, boom. And some old school martial arts do make you pound and pound on these like sandpaper things or whatever the hell they're called. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Martial artists know what I'm talking about. And they make you build up your calluses, so when you like break down a brick with your flat palm, it works, or when you do it this way, it works. I personally have never broken a brick in my life with my fist or my feet, because I don't think that has anything to do with martial arts. I think that's just like a way of showing off, and that it should be banned from martial arts in general. But I don't make the rules. Anyway, the whole thing is, if you're going to teach somebody a martial art, you need to teach them what is useful, both not just in the dojo, but outside in the street. Because dojos have rules. And that's the one thing that Mr. Ennis and I had a tiny bit of a snafu with when I was in this school. And he's like, well, why do you see it that way? I said, because it's the truth. When 20% of your students leave this dojo, they don't go through the projects. They don't have to worry about 4 or 5 guys coming at them at nighttime. I do. And rules are meant to be bent but not broken. It really depends on the situation, because fights don't really have rules when you're not in a controlled environment. You can understand this if you go to an MMA match, if you go to any event, especially anything involving martial arts. They're in a controlled environment, and the ref lets you know right off the bat: protect yourself at all times. No eye gouging. No hitting in the testicles. I really don't know what they say to the women, but, I guess, no kicking in the vagina or whatever. I don't know if that shit even hurts them. But, for the most part, it's always protect yourself. At my go, touch gloves, get to your corners when the bell rings, go do your thing. But for the men, it's mostly no eye gouging, no kicking in the crotch, and apparently there's no blows to the back of the head or something. I don't really know how that works, but, that's why a lot of guys have cauliflower. Yeah, but when you are in a fight in the street, no one's gonna think about that shit. They're just gonna think about, I can't let this guy beat my ass. That's pretty much how that works. And for the females, it's probably the same thing. But you have to learn what works. And when you're in a dojo, y'all are scoring for points. So you can be the worst point scorer in the world and still be the best fighter and still lose. You understand what I'm saying? So that being said, I've taken up way too much of your time. I'm going to make another video. Be seeing you.